Hello, unlimited friends. Today we are talking about the subject of transition. This is in response to a question received from Nickolas, and he emailed me saying, "What happens after death? How do we deal with the loss of our beloved pet, friend, relative, or family member? Wouldn't that lead us to be low on the emotional scale and prevent us from manifesting our desires?" What a fantastic question. Thank you so much, Nickolas, for your question. Before I get into responding, which I will do fully, let me do a short introduction. Hello to those who are new here. My name is Zara Mahoon. I write the blog zmahoon.com, and I am the author of 18 books on the subject of law of attraction. I offer group coaching as well as one-on-one coaching, and I have a number of online courses, including the Law of Attraction Toolkit, which gives you in-depth knowledge of how to use tools such as automatic writing, visualization, affirmations, vision boards, the focus wheel, and the 4-step process. So take a look at the toolkit. The link for it is in the chat below in the description. And let's get started with the response to this really important question. It's law of attraction in the way that this question landed in my mailbox, because just 2 days ago I experienced the transition of a dear friend that she and I had been friends for over 30 years. I am auntie to her children, and she was auntie to my children. And we've spent so many good times together. Did it bring me down on the emotional scale? Absolutely it did. It did. And it brought me down on the emotional scale ever since her brother called me and told me that she was on the ventilator. I came down on the emotional scale, and I had this feeling inside of me, this knowing that she's not going to come off the ventilator. And so I was just, even though I was praying for her recovery, I knew that she had given up. I knew that constant fighting had brought her to a place where she was not hopeful anymore. And she had been on chemo for a while. So she had one bout and a round of chemo, and then she had a second round of chemo, and then a third round of chemo. And so I knew that by this time she had lost the energy to think positively about her ability to recover. So she made her transition. It was a very uncomfortable evening, and yes, I went down the emotional scale. But you find closure when something happens that you don't have any more control over. When that happens, you feel that. I did feel the pain. I teach every morning in my group coaching program, and I went online that morning and I told people I'm not going to be able to teach today. And I closed that call. And I focused, and here's what I did. I focused on, instead of holding back the tears, I focused on releasing the tears. I told myself, you have permission to feel bad because you have experienced something that feels like a loss. So I allowed myself to feel all those thoughts of and relive all the wonderful moments that we had. I relived the time when I was at a birthday party we are 4 friends, and I was at the birthday party, first birthday of another friend's little girl, and I had taken a little boy with me and my daughter, and the little boy was the son of one of my really, really beautiful friends. So I had the 2 children in my care, and this little boy had an accident where he was seriously injured. He walked straight through a glass door. And in that time, I took that little boy and I ran to the hospital, and I stayed there all night praying for his recovery, while my friend Samira, she took my daughter home with her, and she looked after my daughter. And I think the 2 kids were maybe 4 years old at that point in time. So, like our friendship, it was special. And so I was thinking of all these things that she did for me and I did for her, and all the times that we spent together. And I cried. I let go my grief. I allowed myself to feel the grief and let it go, because I can't do anything about this situation. My children came and surrounded me with their love, and I called back home her family, and I made them know of my love for them. But after that first day, even midway through that day, my thoughts changed. Instead of feeling the loss, so here's what happened. I felt the loss, I felt the pain of the loss. Then I revisited history and all the wonderful things that we had done together, which soothed me. It made me feel better. I felt blessed to have had her in my life. And then, a couple of hours later, I started thinking, what now? What can I do now? Because I want to be there for her family. I want to be there for her children. I want to be there for what is next. And so that's the thing that people miss out on. They feel the grief, then they look at the history, and instead of feeling blessed that they had this person in their life, instead of feeling that blessing, instead of feeling the joy of having had that person with them, they continue feeling the loss. Oh, I will not have these moments ever again. So instead of letting go the loss, they continue feeling the loss. And that expands, because whatever you focus on expands, and then they get stuck because they create a lot of momentum on the aspect of loss. But if you can release that, because you don't control that anymore, and move forward to what's next. What is next? How can I live my life now? What do I need to do now? What is my next step? Because I'm still here in this physical body. When you think about the future, and you think about the future from a point of view of hope instead of despair, that is what brings you out of that situation, and you're able to get back on track. Because I can look at the future from a point of view of despair, and I can say to myself, life will never be the same again. How sad that we will not grow old together. How sad that she will not see me standing on the TEDx stage. How sad that she will miss out on my children's weddings, her own children's weddings. So I can go towards the sadness, or I can go towards hope. She's gone, and I have to step in. I have to look after her children. What can I do to look after them? And that is the difference. So yes, we go down the emotional scale, but then we can find ways to come back up. I am hopeful now. I know what I need to do for her children. I know all the ways in which I want to be there for them. I know that I want to support her brother and her husband so that they can get through this time. And that brings me up the emotional scale. It gives me back control, because I can do things that are important. I can make a difference. And so now I am comforted because I know what I'm going to do next. And I also know that my friend has just changed her state. She's gone from being physical to being non-physical. She's not dead to me. She is always there for me. And so, Nickolas, this is what I want you to know. Yes, allow yourself to feel the pain, because if you don't allow yourself to feel the grief, then you hold on to the grief. Then the grief never goes away. Number one. Number two, instead of continuing to feel the loss, start feeling the blessing of having had contact with this pet or friend or relative. Doesn't matter, family member. And then ask yourself, what can I do now? What can I do now to make things better? And then go do that. Don't sit on it. Because now when you're inspired to an action, when you have the universe guide you towards inspired action, don't waste any time in taking action. So I hope, Nickolas, that this helps you, and I hope that it helps everyone else who needs this information. And if you know someone who is going through that stage of grief or has unresolved grief from before, please share this video with them so that it may help them to feel better and to learn a skill that will shift the course of their life. And I think that, Nickolas, your question, law of attraction in action, sweetheart, because your question came to me at a time when I am going through this and I can really focus there and share my personal experience with you. So thank you so much for being here with me. Love you all lots. And we're always pushing the limit forward of trying to understand law of attraction in better ways. So thank you again for being here with me. Love you all lots. And please do come back and subscribe to my channel and click on that notification bell so that you know when I post my next video. Bye for now.